you for joining us. This is our third webinar in our series, Ahead of the Curve. We have had a huge response for this, so definitely that's, I think, with some of the audio issues here. But before we get started, why don't we do an audio check? Great, I'm seeing that we are now coming through. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So we will be doing a Q&A as part of this session. So definitely stick to the end where we're going to do some Q&A. We've got about 20 minutes of content here for you. It's a great topic that we have here today. Just as it relates to the audio, we do have a lot of people coming in from all over the world. So if there are any issues with the audio, I'd recommend just logging out, logging back in again, or you can always dial in using the telephone numbers provided. Now, just before we get started, a quick overview as to who WSI is, if you're not familiar. WSI, we've been around for the last 25 years, and literally we've worked with hundreds of thousands of businesses. And the whole idea behind this series was an opportunity for us to be able to give back, to be able to provide advice to businesses during this time around how they should really approach their digital marketing and so forth. And so we've got, working with lots of different industries and so forth. And our session today is super relevant. This session today is about communication. And I don't think there's ever been a time in our lifetimes, or most of our lifetimes anyways, where communication has been as important as it is today. In this time, having a database and being able to effectively communicate with your customers or your prospects is really super relevant. And so, and for a lot of businesses, this window that we have here has also really provided an opportunity for them to look at how they communicate with customers, how they've done that in the past, and really are they set up to be able to properly communicate with them in the future. So our guest today is an experienced marketer. She has a great track record of helping clients with their communication. Alison Lindemann has authored the chapter in the book on database marketing in WSI's bestseller, Digital Minds. She's got extensive experience working with all different types and sizes of businesses, including a multi-billion-dollar organization out of the US. She's got expertise in traditional and digital marketing, competitor analysis, SEO, and of course, is really an expert in communication. So she joins us from Los Angeles. Allison, can you hear me coming through now?
I can hear you. Hi,
okay,
Mike.
Excellent. So I know you got some great tips to share with us.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Before I get started, I do want to say that I hope that your families are all safe and you're safe. And I know we're all going through this together, and that's really the purpose of the Head of the Curve series. So I just want to start with getting across the feeling of that I know that we're all scared. And we all step back at a time like this. We look at our businesses, and again, we're all business owners too, and consultants. But a natural inclination is to look at where can I cut expenses, and of course, you need to do that, and we need to look at that. Also, ways to grow revenue, and I think it's a natural as a business owner to possibly look at a soft cost or see marketing as a soft cost and think that might be somewhere that you could, during these times, make a cut. And so I'm really here to tell you that, or remind you that any real significant cuts in marketing in a short-term situation like we're in could have long-term repercussions. So we need to be really careful about and strategic about what we do with marketing, but it's more important than ever that we stay in front of our clients right now, our customers and our leads, our opportunities, and be mindful of that moving forward. And so one of the really important things right now is communication with our customers. And so that's the topic really of today's presentation. Next slide, Cheryl. And so in my 30 years in business, and again, working with a large multi-billion-dollar company, as Mike mentioned, and working with a lot of different small, medium-sized businesses, in all my time working with businesses, it's come down to these three things. And so if you can achieve these business objectives, you're going to be successful. It's basically, and it's simple, keeping customers that you have, working on getting more customers and building in operational efficiencies. If you can do that, you're going to be profitable and you're going to be very successful. Maybe potentially in this current climate, you might have to put aside a bit getting more customers, number two, depending on your scenario, where you're located, whether you're a critical business or not. But all these technologies we're going to talk about absolutely address all three, and you can focus on 1 and 3 right now during these times. So just don't forget that. Also, we always talk about things like working in our business and on our business. And I know I've said things to myself that if only the world could stop for a day, a week, a month, if I could get these other things done in my business, some of these operational things to make me more efficient and more successful, I wish I had the time to do them. And unfortunately, given what we're going through right now, you do have time. You most likely have time that you haven't had in the past. This is the time to start looking at implementing additional technologies in your business. So moving ahead, Cheryl, if you can go to the next slide. I'm going to talk about 2 platforms that I recommend that you look at to help your communication with your customer and with your leads. And so email marketing is sort of a historic introduction to this topic. And so it really was the foundation of, or the start of automation. It's been around about 15 years. And I just want to remind everyone, whether you're using email marketing now or not, or you have in the past, or you thought about it, people may think it's yesterday, but it's not. It's still one of the highest converting strategies out there. It's a great tool to use right now during these times when it's so important to reach out to our clients, and we're not able to do that, unfortunately, in person. And so use your consultant if you need to, but there's a lot of email marketing software that's out there that's really easy to implement. It's just a matter of, do you have an email address for your customers and your leads? You have basic information, and you can really get started today on communicating through that type of software. So I just don't want to forget it. And it can be segmented, so you can send different messages to different types of groups. There's good data behind it. You can see who opened those emails that you sent. You can resend an existing email to those that didn't look at it yet. So don't ignore email as a step into enhancing your automation in your business. Next slide, please. And so right now we want to do a quick poll just to kind of help me get a pulse for where people are at that are on this call. So I'm going to, I think, turn it over to Cheryl to run the poll. And so we're wanting to know, okay, you want to take it over, Cheryl?
Yeah, so I've just launched the poll. You could talk people through it if you want, Allison.
Yeah, so I want to know where you guys are at. And so as far as, do you use email marketing now? And then I'm talking about 2 systems next. I just would like to know out in the audience whether you're using any kind of CRM or any kind of marketing automation. If you're not sure, then just let us know. And if you're not using any of it, great. That's what we're here for today.
Okay, great. So I'm going to close down the poll now, and I'll share the results. So.
Okay, that's great.
So obviously overwhelming email marketing, but we do have CRM and marketing automation users in the crowd.
Yeah, oh, that's so good. Okay, good to know. I'll try to tailor my discussion around that. So next slide, please. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the CRM system. So customer relationship management. Some of you have it, some of you don't. I will guess that some of us are using it fully and some of us may not. So it is basically a system for you to store all your customer information, all your complete client information. It's a system that helps you, if you are the Rolodex person, or if there might be people out there still on Excel, it's replacing your manual storage of your client information. It gives you a unified view of your customer. So everything's in there, all communications, your emails, your phone calls are documented in there, your sales process is in there. Everyone on your team is seeing the same thing. So your customer information is standard. it's in the cloud, and so everybody's seeing the same thing at the same time. You don't have to worry about, especially in a virtual environment that a lot of us find ourselves in now, that people are looking at information on their localized computer and they're not in sync with everybody else on the team. And it also, again, it stores all your lead interactions or all your client interactions. So it's really easy to see the status of a client. It's also really easy to provide good service because everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what's going on. And so it also integrates with a lot of third-party software. So if you are using email marketing now and you're not using a CRM, there's a good chance that you can integrate that email marketing program into your CRM system. So can you go to the next slide, please? But some of the benefits that I haven't mentioned already are, people find that their closing rate and their ability to close deals are better when they have a CRM system. They have more information, more accurate. You're not regenerating proposals from old proposals like some of us maybe have done in the past, but customer satisfaction and retention are better. It's easier to hand off between staff members. So if someone takes in a call and it needs to transition to another department, or even between marketing and sales, having the CRM makes that transition easier because there's consistent information. You're not asking that client the same questions again and again. So this builds operational efficiency into your business, like we talked about as one of the business objectives. So again, I know in my business, just having templates for things that we do and a process built into the CRM is really saved me a lot of money. And again, better internal communication between your teams, like I talked about, documents that can help even your internal team. So, and then better data security. So the concern even right now that a lot of us might have, that you've now sent some of your employees working virtual on maybe company equipment, maybe not company equipment, but and what exposure does your business have? But if you're working in the cloud in a CRM, then you don't have those same concerns of people remotely, using their computers and things like that for data storage. Next slide, please. I mean, that's a quick nutshell of what a CRM system is. There's a lot more, features of it. It's a good place to start if you don't have any CRM marketing automation in your business. I definitely would talk to your consultant about what CRM system might be appropriate for you, but there are many off-the-shelf systems that are very easy to onboard, and so don't have the fear factor that it's something like that's too overwhelming for your business, because the benefits are definitely there. And so the second piece of technology that connects to marketing or to a CRM, or if they work hand in hand, is a marketing automation platform. And so that's, in my opinion, kind of getting to the next level of marketing and automation in your business, because it takes a lot of your tasks that were previously handled manually and it automates them. It nurtures your prospects and customers with personal content. So it's the start of even marketing segmentation. And so instead of just having all your clients or all your leads in one bucket, it is segmenting those people either based on who they are, maybe where they are in the buying process, and it delivers content that's relevant to them. So trying to nurture them along in the process, obviously with the end result being a conversion. So I kind of call it, when I'm talking to clients, email on steroids. So while email marketing does have basic functionality to target market and to deliver content based on who they are and some analytics, marketing automation takes it to a whole new level. So it also does what's called lead scoring. And so as people are taking or having interactions with you as a business, it's keeping track of that, and you set thresholds. And so if somebody first comes across, let's say, an ebook, a white paper, a piece of information about your business, and now they have additional interactions with your company, they come visit your website, they take other actions on your site, they maybe do a survey or fill out a form, that's where that lead scoring comes in. And so the system, based on criteria that you've entered, is attempting to come up with the right threshold to refer that lead to you for further action. And so it's sorting through your lead funnel and finding, cherry picking the best leads so that you can take a more personal action with trying to convert those clients. You can run marketing programs on a marketing automation platform. You have landing pages and campaigns, and it will do quite sophisticated testing to see, does this landing page work better than this landing page? You can test multivariates in there to see, again, to optimize your pages. And so it's a whole system to market your business that, again, will sit on top of a CRM and help you generate more effective leads in your business. Next slide, please. And so, again, just kind of a summary of marketing automation. The lead nurturing, and it's enabling segmentation. It's talking to an individual based on who they are and what their needs and likes are. It's brand consistency in your business. So, I know my clients have concerns where different branding is going out, different people on their staff represent the brands in different ways. But with marketing automation, the right branding is going out consistent 100% of the time. And because you have such good data, you're able to better predict what the behavior is of your leads or your clients if you're cross-selling, and make better business decisions. And so more targeted messaging through marketing automation leads to higher average deals. So those are the main benefits of marketing automation. Some of the examples, could be start from really simple. So if you're integrating into your CRM, you could have people's birthdays, and you could use your marketing automation platform to trigger, birthday greetings, and maybe it's attached to a special or a coupon or something like that. You can connect it with e-commerce and send customized thank yous for transactions or upsell opportunities through your automation platform. But so just kind of wetting your whistle, I guess, a bit on some of the automation that's available to you, both in a CRM capacity and a marketing automation platform. And so the rest of it, the conversation I want to have is more, what do I do with this? Where do I start? I'm interested in doing some of this. What do I have to do to prepare? And so these are the 5 things that we're going to talk about for just a minute, so that you can start thinking on, when we've got time now to work on our businesses, that you can do to start preparing yourself to automate and run a more efficient business. The next slide, please. And so the first thing that you probably want to look at is your contact information. And so we have to assess, where are we in terms of our data? So is it sitting in your billing system or a QuickBooks? Again, some of you have Excel type spreadsheets with customer information, but where are you going to get that information to start providing it in an organized manner or rolling it into a CRM system? And so, and what kind of information do you have, and how long has it been since you updated that information? And so I am finding with some of my clients that this is a really good time to start updating that information. So they have excess, like, customer service rep time because the business may not be open, or it's reduced, or everything's gone to phone. And so I have clients that are actually running programs to update their customer contact information. And so you could do that through an email blast that could be connected to a form that people fill out. You could do a survey. And I have an audiology client who they've done a survey. They did an email blast with over a 50% open rate after not sending blasts in a while. But that's because they already had relationships with their clients. They didn't just take a 5-year-old email list and use a CRM and blast out communication. They may not have been using email, but they were keeping in touch with those clients. So they slid well onto digital communication. And so many of those people that opened went ahead and gave updated information. We asked them in a survey connected to that blast some questions, just questions about how can we help you, things like that. So we got people giving feedback that generated interest. And then the staff, because they have available time, has also been calling these clients to follow up. And so I noticed this week when I was looking on my clients' social media that they have several reviews now that came from the happiness of clients from getting contacted and people initiating out, reaching out to them and asking them how they're doing. Can I get your updated information? Is there anything I can do for you? So first, getting a plan to make sure that you have current client and lead contact information so that you can be effective in whether it's email marketing or starting a CRM. Next slide, please. The other thing that I suggest you do is review your existing content that you have. So whether it's on your website, on your social media, maybe you're running ads already, and make sure that it's relevant. So I mentioned here in the slides this mere exposure effect, and we were talking about it in preparation for today, but it's something that's it's psychology, and you might want to look at it if you're interested, but it really is the concept behind branding, that people prefer things that they are most familiar with. And so it may even be in the case of branding that someone even has a neutral opinion of you, or they maybe don't even have a positive opinion of you, but it's proven that the more we're exposed to something, the more we like it. And so this has to do with branding. And this is where you go back to marketing and automation and communicating with your clients. They need to hear from you multiple times on a regular basis, and they become comfortable with you, and the greater the chance that you're going to transact with them. And even in the old days before digital, when I was in the corporate world, we knew we had to do direct mail 7 times till we got activity. The same concept still applies in digital. You have to drip and get in front of them. And these tools we're talking about are what you need to do that. And so you should look through all your content, make sure it's appropriate for right now, and even start thinking about segmenting it. I mean, next week, our webinar is about marketing personas. And so that marketing personas are all your different target markets. And so you should be looking at your content and see what buckets it fits into best, whether it's the type of person or business you're targeting or what stage they are in the buyer process. Okay, those things are important as you're looking through your content. And when you also look at if you have case studies or white papers, things like that, and customer reviews, those should be part of every touch point in your marketing. So as you're looking through your content, you should gather that in preparation for a CRM program. Next slide, please. The other thing is, like I mentioned, is adjusting your communication. So I've already seen in the last couple of weeks with everything going on, companies advertising for things that don't even make sense right now. And so they're wasting budget money, number one, if it's an ad, but it could even offend me a bit. But if you're closed, then don't talk about coming in. Don't talk about going to a restaurant, Make sure you're sensitive and you've adjusted everything in your marketing to what's going on right now, at least temporarily. And make sure that you're reaching out quickly to your customers. So I know in my business, I quickly assess who of my clients, most of them are B2B, but I have B2C also, but who's most been impacted by our current environment. And that's who I reached out to first. Just as a business person, I had to also look at who had the most impact on my business. And those people were also critical to reach out to. But again, email marketing and marketing automation is a way that you can reach out to the masses in a time like this. So letting people know we care, introducing things that we can do to help them right now. But you need to go back and look at how you're communicating and what you're saying, and some other things that you can do for your customers. And so also, how can you add value right now during this time? And I have a HVAC client, a heating and air conditioning, and they started looking at this and they decided that they can perhaps use their vehicles to deliver meals to seniors and to change air filters for seniors and things like that. And so they're put out new communication to try to explain some of the things that they're doing to help their clients and their community during this time. But it's all about communication. Next slide, please. The other thing is that we all need to reimagine what's possible. And so this is re-engineering, and there are things we needed to do anyway in our business, and we're kind of getting forced to look at these things now, which isn't such a bad thing. But what do people need now? What do your clients want and expect now? What's going to help them feel better, safer, good about the relationship with your business to want to continue it? So you have to give away some things that maybe you had a subscription for that now you need to make free for a period of time. Do you need to give a discount on something? Do you need to come up with a new online service? Our audiology client is looking now. We actually put out the first communication on it, but doing some type of online screening, a place to still create an opportunity if people can't come into the office to look into what their hearing problem is. What can they do online? Can they take the basic test so we can create that opportunity and still talk with them and get them on the books for when we can see them in person? But those are the things, all the types of things that people came in, or maybe you had your salesperson going out or a service person going out. What can you do now through the creation of FAQs or video? Go back to week 1 of this series with Ryan if you want to learn more about creating effective videos. But that would be a really good way to showcase maybe some of the top FAQs that your customers have that you can't service today in person. The setting up of virtual meetings. I know I came from the insurance industry, and we always told our agents, you need to meet every year and go through a complete review of their insurance. No one did it, but we wanted to do it. Well, guess what? I bet you they have time to do those things now, and that could be set up in a virtual environment. So could a financial person and a lot of other those type of services, training and new ideas. So we were talking about this among some of us this week. Take a business that has a similar market to yours in your community or in your industry, but they're non-compete, and work a deal together. Cross-market and use each other's lists. Let them know that if you show me a receipt or something that you purchased from my power partner recently, I'm going to give you a 20% discount. So share your list. Throw your list together with another business that complements what you do, or get creative in that kind of way. I mean, I'm sure everybody looks at things like e-gift programs if you're retail. In my own gym that I belong to, they put out an offer because they're probably cash strapped right now, that industry, but they offered for me to renew my membership ahead of time and pay for 1 year and get a second year free. And I did it. That's a good deal for me, and that helped that business right now. I mean, that's, getting creative. Some of the businesses are working on what's called a no contact service. And so they can come out. There's still a business that can function. Like here in Southern California, it's going to be 100 degrees really soon. It's going to be in the 80s today. So we need our air conditioning working. And so people still are a bit fearful, let's say, of having a service person come to their home. Well, there's a no contact kind of certification you can get that lets people know that I can come out there safely. So these are the things to reimagine, rethink in your business, and use these communication tools to let people know. The other thing, finally, is looking at things like you got to measure. You got to measure what you're doing here. You've got to use the analytics. You got to test, you got to learn, you got to tweak. And so don't forget about analytics. If you need help setting up analytics for any of these marketing automation or email marketing, consult the person who invited you to this meeting. They can help you set up analytics. You have to know what works to make good decisions. So don't forget about that. And then finally, I think this will kind of transition into Q&A, because I think I'm out of time, right, Mike?
Obviously we had a little delay getting started with some of the audio.
Yeah,
for sure.
So some of the things you might be thinking, and we can again turn this into more of a Q&A, but how big does my operation need to be to do some of these things, and what software do I use, and what is this all going to cost? I mean, those are the things that maybe through the Q&A we can ease your mind that these are very doable for you.
For sure. No, and that's great. And obviously, we got lots of questions here, Alison, and lots of great comments and so forth. Just before we get to those comments, I just want to remind people about the the presentation will be made available to you. So we've got some questions about the content and the slides and the presentation. So definitely that's going to be made available for you. And we've got some summary actions here for you as well that you'll probably want to take a look at. But also wanted to remind you about the upcoming session next week. Alison alluded to that, really about persona-based marketing and who you're marketing to. So she's talked about some of those elements of, you know, what to do and so forth. And a big one is understanding who your customer is, the pain points, what their motivations are today, which may have shifted with obviously coronavirus. Also, for those of you that might be interested, WSI's Digital Minds book, which has a number of great tips on digital marketing, including database marketing, as well as some of the other areas, is available on Amazon. And so you can do that. And obviously, as Alison said, you know, questions and so forth, you can connect with your consultant that invited you. They can talk about this topic and help you with this or anything else. So that's great. Well, let's get to some questions here. One of the questions just about email marketing, Alison, was, you know, any tips in terms of email marketing so that it's not spammy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, so, I mean, again, it needs to be personal. And I think I mentioned this, you can't go buying lists. You can't use a list of people that you didn't have a relationship with. If you use the right list and you build those lists, people are going to want to open that. You need to be clear. There's, you know, again, little tips. We may not have time for all that, but I'm sure the person who invited you could talk to you more about it, but you need to make sure they know it's coming from you. I saw one this week. It was somebody I did business with, but they didn't even have the name of who they were when they sent it, you know, and you need to, and it can't just be all about sales. Right now, it has to be about helping people. So thinking about the subject line and making sure that people see that it's something they want to open. Go to the market and look at the covers of magazines, even though some of them seem spammy, but they write really good titles that you could think about using for email marketing that catch people that you want to know more. So really how you write the title too is really critical.
That's a great tip. So looking at how magazine kind of titles are, yeah, that's great. And just obviously one of the things when we talk about email marketing, there's different legislation in different countries. So for example, here in Canada, we have the Canadian anti-spam legislation, which is very specific in terms of making sure you have opt-in. And in general, that's just a good practice. Anyways, to your point, you're not just going out and you're just buying a list and spamming people.
And that's why you need the right software for where you're located, because that is protecting you against your local spam regulations.
Absolutely. Let's just see here. For a CRM system to be effective with what other software do you recommend being connected? So you'd sort of mentioned marketing automation. Is there anything else that you think is really, you know, helps CRM be effective?
Some CRMs have a lot built into it. And so you can perhaps, if you really are getting started, I mean, you can get some CRMs that already have project management and billing, for example, built in there, and email marketing. Or if you have third-party systems, you can integrate those systems into your CRM. Besides, again, also tagging on marketing automation and campaigns. So most everything that you use to operate a business can be put into the whole umbrella of your CRM.
Okay, great. Good question here. If you wanted to design an automated system, the question is the best practice to start and design a marketing funnel first? Like, would you start there and then look for the technology to do that, or what's the best approach?
So, I mean, not knowing who's out there and all these different businesses and different objectives and things, but I mean, one of the places you need to start is developing your marketing personas. So understanding all your different buckets that you're marketing to first, and then developing appropriate content to speak to each of those personas. But most marketing automation platforms are designed for all that. That's built in. So I think it's a matter of if you're a smaller business and just getting started, I mean, my advice would be you use off-the-shelf software. You know, you're just getting started. You don't want to dump a bunch of money into some type of a customization. shop around for the different CRMs or the different marketing automation platforms. Use your consultant to help you and find a platform that has the functions and features that make sense for you, and then use them to their full ability. I mean, if you're a larger business, you may want to go the opposite direction and look at exactly how your systems work now, or your lead marketing, and then build the system in. But for most of us that are smaller businesses, it's about using off-the-shelf software, leveraging it to the best you can, and building your content strategy around that.
Okay, great. And you did sort of, allude to the question, kind of one of the slides there is, is this a complex thing? Like in terms of, is it expensive? Like, what am I talking about here to get started with some of this?
Yeah. So, I mean, no, I want to put you at ease, I guess, on the financial side, because there's off-the-shelf, most of it's monthly. You basically are renting the use of it. And so you can start, there's some that are just a couple $100. Some are even less than that, the CRM systems. And so if you're just getting going and taking the baby step, you can afford it. The money really, as far as the direct cost, it's more your time investment, and that's why I say this is a great time to do it. It's the time to put in to properly have contact information and develop quality content to nurture and market your database. So don't feel too fearful about the cost, and work with your consultant to just get a better idea of what that means for you.
Okay, perfect. I know there's a few other questions here. I think the team's been doing a great job answering some of those questions behind the scenes as well, but I know that there's some that have come in that we haven't had the time to get to here. What we'll do is certainly we'll make that available to whoever invited you, and obviously they can maybe give you a bit more detail on some of those things that maybe we didn't get to. But once again, just want to remind you about our session next week on persona marketing. It's come up in a couple of the Q&A and a couple of the questions that we've had, so that should be a great session that really works well with what Alison shared with us today. And then I also want to give a big thank you to Alison. So it's I know you're busy, and it's great to have you on and sharing your knowledge on this topic, and making yourself available. So
be safe, everybody. Thank you.
So everybody stay safe. Looking forward to seeing you on next week's Ahead of the Curve webinar series. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.